Okay, we're coming up at just 37 past the hour here at Eric Johnson Space Administration Radio. Isn't that right, Mr. Scream? All right, great. Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. I have Eric Johnson, your host. Coming. All right, I'm not doing that anymore. 105.4 EJRFM or something. How's everybody doing? Are you ready for some space news? It's not gonna be as, dramatic as yesterday, but it might be. Maybe.
Listen, Tranquility Base here.
Honk to honk.
Eagle has landed.
Why do Lamborghinis never have horns? Because then they would be Ramaginis.
Oh, horns like. Yeah, Rambert, yeah. Yeah. I've recently gone back to university for a space course, and it's crazy that despite playing KSP for a decade, there are still new things I'm learning about the behavior of orbits. Yeah. 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 They're pretty good. Yeah, that's what Creeper, that's what I got. All right, so let's jump into the space and rocket review. You guys have been, I don't know if you've been following the space news the other day. Elon Musk is kind of pissed at interim acting administrator Sean Duffy because interim acting administrator Sean Duffy is trying to apparently dissolve NASA and absorb it into the Department of Transportation because he sucks. I don't know. I don't really understand the end game there. Jared Isaacman is trying to be he's trying to be in the running for NASA administrator, but I don't know. He's originally supposed to be the NASA administrator, and then he stopped because Elon and Trump had a spat, so they removed his nomination. So I might have a solution to this whole thing, and I just came across this real quick. Grant over here posted, that
Discovery, go at throttle.
it's unfortunate Jared can't become the NASA administrator, but maybe this guy Jerry Spaceman could fill the role. Maybe Jerry Spaceman could fill the, or this guy, Isaac Jaredman. Hey! Isaac Jaredman is, yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude. Anyway, on a more let's say serious note, Elon's still pissed at Sean Duffy, rightly so. So the shellacking of Sean Duffy will keep going until morale improves. I'm here for it. Also known as Guy Incognito. Yeah. I am personally here for this. I think getting rid of NASA and trying to absorb it into the Department of Transportation is, the more I think about it, the more I think that's really dumb. Yes, really dumb. So, yeah, that's what's going on. I got, yeah. There's more. I found more. Having a NASA administrator who knows literally zero about rockets and spacecraft undermines the American space program and endangers our astronauts, correct? Oh, also, real quick. Um, my buddy Anthony down at Rocket Ranch had a poll going. Serious poll, who do you think would make the best NASA administrator? So Jared Isaacman, lumberjack DOT butt hat, or Jared Isaacman. And I'm not gonna lie, I voted for option 3 because it made me laugh, because I read it as lumberjack dot butt hat, and I yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny. See, okay, to be honest, I really like that, I really like that people are going after stuff that they don't agree with and they're making their opinions vocal about it. 2 things, dudes, that I've been thinking about. I don't know what the details of getting rid of NASA and making it part of the Department of Transportation really is. Like, there's no details to it. And I'll be honest, the lack of information there in that regard about what that means is just, that's concerning. I don't like it when people offer a plan and then no details. That's not, like, good for spaceflight. And considering we're talking about America's space agency, that space agency has something to do with space flight. It's a leadership ladder change. What do you mean? How could you mess up such a serious poll? I'm sorry, I don't know. Normally wouldn't be possible without an act of Congress, but this administration I don't know. On face value, it's a full dump of all the science stuff, as if the point of NASA was to be a bus driver. Yeah, that's not really what the name implies, So, like, I would like to see details of what this means, because there's a potential that there could be good there, but I'll just, when I say there could be good there, I mean it might be good for someone somewhere, like, maybe. I don't know. I'm assuming a little here, but doing something like that likely changes how leadership of NASA changes and how it's funded. The biggest problem for me is that, to me, it makes it inevitable that NASA becomes a regulatory agency. Yep. There's good potential, larger stake in the budget discussions. Yeah, Gil, like I said, I would want to hear more details now that I'm really thinking about it. Because at face value, I don't think that's a good idea. But, that doesn't even make sense. Why make it into the Department of Defense? There's no correlation. Yeah, I know, Graham. I know. I don't know, Daveldod. We don't know that that's what's going on. Like, that's what I mean. I want more details, but honestly, above anything else, I would really like if Jared Isaacman gets in there. I think that's, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. But whatever. Anyway, Jared gets in there to save NASA before he can kill it. I think that's what Elon's all about, dude. But now, with that all being said, let's move on. So Tori Bruno posted some stuff. We got an update here from ULA, something we haven't really seen too much of lately. He said, I thought you guys might enjoy this. Testing the launch head swing arm of the brand new second Vulcan mobile launch platform. 4 of these support the rocket on the pad and hold it down during ignition. And then they get out of the way. All right, let's see what we got here. Cool. Cool. Oh yeah, we'll That's what I'm talking about. So this is actually one of the hold down points. It has Vulcan has movable hold down points, which is super cool. And then, yep, to protect the umbilicals and the hold down point itself. Woohoo! That's cool, man. That's super cool. If math is serving me left, I believe that Atlas V has fixed points here. Atlas Vs don't move. But I could be wrong. So legit, dude. Tomorrow, BPS space turns 10. That's weird. Don't like that. Yeah, Atlas has 3. Phil, believe it or not. There's 2 on the opposite side of the umbilical tower and 1 on the side of the The Atlas V has asymmetric hold downs because why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it have asymmetric hold downs? Of course it does. ULA is a bright future. ULA, yeah, they need to scale, but I think they're making good progress, dude. But yeah, they need to scale. That's the big one. Whack it, 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 whap, 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 whap. No, wait. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Drop the bait. Sorry, I'll stop. Anyway, yeah, ULA's they've scaled. Tori Bruno always said that he would scale up and pursue reuse if the market demand was there, and the market demand is there because ULA has a pretty hefty contract from Amazon to launch Project Kuiper satellites, which is great. Can I do one more thing? Ready? All right. I'm sorry. Don't act like you wouldn't do that. Don't look at me like that. Okay. So that's good stuff. Now, speaking of hardware and showing off hardware, Blue Origin's got a video for you. You'll like this. So this is inside of New Glen's horizontal integration facility. And this is them integrating the stack onto the mobile, or onto their transporter erector. That's the bong right there. Blue Origin, New Glen. Woof. Oh. Okay. This is the type of content you watch for? Oh, great. Good. Don't apologize for art. Yep. I totally forgot about the first bong launch. Yeah, it launched in January. It was right around the time of Starship, so that's why everybody forgot. So, fellas, I've been trying to show people this next shot here. It's right here. So the reason why I want to show people this shot is because I want to show people the scale of this rocket. Look at the person standing down there. Look at some of the people moving around in this thing. See the dude? The dude just sitting there? Look at the size of this damn thing. Oh my goodness. Is that something or is that something? How sturdy is that intersection? I mean, the rocket stack is held up on the second stage. Surely there's great forces on these clamps or whatever from holding down the second stage. Yeah, the interstage is built very strong to be able to move the entire stack like that. You have an integral second stage, structurally integral second stage, which is pretty cool. If you look, guys, they're picking it up from, they have boat straps. These are 12-inch boat straps. Just holding the second stage up, and then there's a spreader bar attached to the frame, the reaction frame back there. Laterally integral, yeah. That's pretty good, man. Hate to say it, but okay, they're building multiple bits of hardware. Launch the dang thing. I think that's the implication here, Fluffy, by putting it on the launcher. But I did notice some things. There's the payload fairing over there. Whatever that payload fairing is, it's encapsulated, meaning the PLF already has payload inside of it for the second. I would assume that's for the second flight, guys. But if you see the payload fairing is two halves. It's called the clamshell fairing because it opens up like this, like a clamshell. The two halves have been encapsulated on the PAF, and the PAF is ready to be integrated to the stack. Once they mount the stack, this vehicle, the entire whatever that cart thing is that the payload fairing, payload attachment fitting, and the fairing halves are on, it moves into position and it'll attach it. But it's already been encapsulated. Now, New Glenn's second mission is a paying customer. It's NASA. NASA's Escapade probes that were built by Rocket Lab are on there. There's two of them, and they're heading to Mars. The second stage is disposable, Blackbird. The first stage comes back down and lands. How many years before they officially review Project Jarvis? Yeah, it's going to be a little while. I realize that, and I know I'm just an idiot that sits in my house designing on a computer all day. It just seems foolish that they built a whole test campaign on recovering the first stage. There's also another second stage sitting over there, by the way. I know we can't judge based off of this, but the payload attachment fitting being on the erector already really drives the idea that everything was waiting on the second rocket. Yeah, pretty much. Either way, that's super cool. And then in the next one here, oh, mama. That is a big, 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 big launch vehicle. That is a big flag. Yep. Big bada boom. No, 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 no. We don't want that. Boost pumps? Huh. Oh, I suppose that makes sense. Anyway. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. Forget I said anything. It's not an afterthought. That's there for a reason. It looks like an LH2 boost pump, but I could be wrong. Dude, this thing is chunky. Like, I just can't believe how big it is. The thing is freaking huge. That's awesome. It's the catalytic converter. Yep. Also, you know, you're absolutely right. That flag is absolutely massive. It's as big as the second stage. That's pretty sick. Yeah, I don't hate that. And before one of them shows up with a toroidal wing and jet engines. Yeah, I know, right? It's all my idea. The payload fairing is a dummy for the static fire. Escapade is not encapsulated yet. Yeah, I figured that might be the case. I was going to say, I never heard anything about Escapade being encapsulated. Still, though, pretty sick. That's awesome. That's pretty cool, man. Can we bully Boeing into using BE-3Us for the EUS, pretty please? Yeah, that's fine. Onzon are flying this year. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's probably going to happen. I mean, the rocket's assembled on the launcher, so, I don't know, November, December, maybe, something like that. Can we look at the lattice structure on the left? On the left one's inner stage, that's beefy. This thing? Oh, yeah. Flight 12 for SpaceX or Flight 2 for Blue Origin? I'd say New Glenn's going to fly before Starship, but Starship ain't going to be far behind. Why is the engine and inner stage different from the one on the ground next to it? Oh, that is your structural path. That's your structural pathfinder. This is a fake. It's a mock-up. It's a mock-up. Something like this, Brendan, would be used to test everything, to test all the attachment points. That's what this is. It's called a Pathfinder stage. Yeah, that's fake. And it has a dummy upper stage, which is basically just it's the aft skirt and the forward skirt on the stage, but it's just steel lattice to be a mass analog of the stage. So why keep it inside? I don't know. Ask Jeff Bezos. I mean, judging by all the equipment that's kind of just being stored underneath the damn thing, I'm pretty sure they're not doing anything with that. You didn't know it was a test article. Yeah, all good, man. There is another flight upper stage over there, though. You see that? We've seen Dave Limp. Dave Limp is actually Dave Limp. He's posted. There's 2 stages there that we know about. I don't. If I had to guess, big guess, if I had to guess, there's probably more that they're not showing. They deliberately didn't show that corner of the HIF. So I'm going to go ahead and guess there's probably like 2 to 3 more upper stages somewhere in the processing flow, because they were trying to hit 6 flights. Do you think Flight 12 is sooner now that Elon is a little unhappy? I think it was going to happen quick already, but Graham, I've talked to people at SpaceX and they were gung-ho about this. They're like, all right. You think they can beat us? Okay. Sure. They don't even have another first stage built. This is inside of the horizontal integration facility, Fluffy. There's probably another one in the processing flow. Actually, there's probably like 2 or 3 in the processing flow. But this is their integration hangar. This is not the factory. That's not the factory floor. This is where at the launch pad. That's at LC-36. Another section of the booster just entered Mega Bay, the Mega Bay on Starbase Live. Yep. Is the upper stage engines running expander cycle? That would explain the boost pumps. Yes. Yes, they are, Phil. Yes. Dude, that New Glenn second stage is a Centaur on steroids. Like, not even steroids, dude. That's like a... That's not even steroids. That's like bull testosterone or something. Like, that thing is a gigantic, structurally integral Centaur with freaking 700 kilonewton expander cycle engines. And if you're using an expander cycle, you have a boost pump. You'd use a boost pump in that design. I know that from reading this book. Because you need a boost pump to start the flow of the expander cycle to drive your turbines. I love this book. This book makes me so happy. What's the book? I'm not telling you. I'm just kidding. I'll tell you right now. Look. Modern Engineering for Design of Liquid Propellant Rocket Engines. GS2 is an S4B. It is a S4B sized Centaur with no balloon tanks. That's the last section of Booster 18 heading into Mega Bay 1, CH4 tank barrel. Can you explain an expander cycle? Oh, sure, man. Yeah, it ain't no problem. Give me one sec. Yeah. When do you think Booster 18 will roll out for cryo? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks. Guys, you remember at the end of Flight 11, and this is before this whole thing went down with Sean Dummy. I can't. You gotta be kind of professional, all right? That was before this whole thing went down, Sean Duffy. SpaceX doesn't want to stop the production line, guys. The production line ain't stopping. If anything, Block 2 was holding it up. I'm serious. Block 2 starships, old hardware. That's old news. That's why they're expending it and doing all these that's why they expended all the Block 2s. They do all these stupid landing tests. That's why they're scrapping Booster 17. That's why they put 12 out to pasture. Get it out of the way. It is impeding the Block 3 production line. And now that they actually have space, because they don't have to worry about hanging around a bunch of other boosters and Block 2 ships, look at how fast it's coming together. Look at how fast it's coming together. I guarantee you, whenever Flight 12 happens, right? Whenever Flight 12 happens, 3 or 4 starships will be in the pipe. Easily in the pipe. Like, in processing flow. Like, more towards the end of completion. Now that all the Block 2 stuff is out of the way, factory floor opens up, baby. And because it's optimized around Block 3 throughput. There's no, dude, like I said, Flight 12 is going to launch. There's going to be 2 Block 3 super heavy boosters ready to go. And probably 2 more starships ready to go. It's going to come at us hot and heavy. You're not ready for it. 12 is going in the museum. Yep. Do you know why 18.1 is still in the can crusher if it looked like it pumped a month ago now? Probably finished the test. Probably don't need that can crusher anymore, dude. Anyway. Mirbon, you wanted to learn about an expander cycle. Okay. Sure. All right. So the first thing you got to know about an expander cycle rocket engine and how it works is understand that with an expander cycle, you're probably using hydrogen. Or let's say for the case of this example, you're using hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So fully cryogenic, hydrolox, expander cycle engine. Now, the thing that you got to understand with hydrogen is insanely good at conducting heat. You can tank a lot of heat energy into hydrogen. It's a very good heat sink. Okay? but it's a gas. Gases can be good heat sinks too. This is why, you know, when the sun comes up, the air gets warmer. You know, the gases can absorb heat. Absolutely. I just got to understand that. I don't know, Mira, I don't know where you are with like learning about this stuff, so I'll start from scratch. Okay, so how an expander cycle engine works is your boost pumps will start trickling propellants into your rocket engine. And with an expander cycle, you're using hydrogen to cool the nozzle of the motor. Nozzle gets pretty hot. That's the part that shoots out super hot fire. Yeah. I'm using an expander cycle. Here's the heat sink. Psych! The engine is the heat sink. Oh! Anyway. Sorry. So the boost pumps will move hydrogen into the cooling channels. Hydrogen, which is extremely cold at liquid, will pull the heat out of the metal from the rocket engine, and it'll start turning to gas. When you evaporate and turn into a gas, stuff expands, right? At the other end of the cooling channels, you get a manifold that goes into a turbine. That hydrogen goes through, it heats up, it expands to gas, and it gets shot through the manifold at pressure and drives the turbine. The turbine is connected to your fluid impeller. It's connected to your fuel pump. And on, say, like an RL-10 engine, the gas turbine has a gearbox attached to it, and the gearbox steps down the drive for your liquid oxygen impeller. So an expander cycle uses the cooling channels in the engine to actuate your turbines. It does not need a gas generator or anything like that. It's just using the straight fact that hydrogen is an insanely good heat sink to drive the turbine. And then when the rocket engine turns on, then it really pressurizes and it really drives the turbine. It's pretty straightforward stuff, dude. Really, expander cycles are some of the simplest bipropellant rocket engines around, save for maybe a pressure-fed hypergol. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. Here's the number. Psych! That's the wrong number! All right, Antares. See you, buddy. So, does that make sense? It's very simple operation from there. And the two fluid impellers will flow hydrogen and oxygen into an injector plate. Injector plate goes out the explodey bits. Super hot fire comes out the bottom. Dude, you want to see some crazy stuff? Hold on. NASA actually experimented with deep throttling RL-10 engines back in the day for like landing applications. You want to see something crazy? You can do some real cool thermodynamics with this stuff. They were looking at deep throttle applications for RL-10s for lunar landing engines. This is called the RL-10 CECE experiment, or CC for short. Check this out. They got this thing deep throttling and running so damn cold, ice is actually accumulating on your cooling channel, at the edge of your cooling channels. Pretty cool, huh? Not every day you see a rocket engine shooting out super hot fire with ice accumulating on, like icicles accumulating on the rim of the nozzle. Isn't that cool? The best SpaceX has done from the last booster section rolled in to cryo is booster 17, which was 1 month and 10 days. I would expect 3 to 4 weeks for cryo. Well, if I were you, then you'd be me. And I'd use your body to tell that I expect 2 weeks. You can't stop me no matter who you are. Anyway, yeah, expander cycles are really cool. And Blue Origin has 2 big expander cycle engines attached to the side. And that's why I was like, boost pump. So, like I said, to start the whole expander cycle, you need a boost pump. That's what this thing is. See that thing right there? At least that's what I think it is. I don't know for sure, but that looks like one. That looks like the boost pumps on the side of a Centaur. If you guys look at a Centaur 3 or a Centaur 5, Centaur 5 has, and Centaur 3 have these little dang old nacelles on the side here. See? Boost pump. So, yeah, Blue's engine is not exactly the B. Yeah, exactly. The B7 is dual expander. It's a little bit different. But, yeah, still cool. There's also apparently a tank named the Centaur 3 as well. And it is a Cromwell? ADD rabbit hole time. It has a Meteor. A Rolls-Royce Meteor on it. Nice. Nice. It looks like a Panzer IV ripoff. Also, it has riveted armor. What the hell are you doing?
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Riveted armor. Nah. ADD. Yeah, right. Sorry, that was some Brendan Herrera stuff going on there. I think it's a Cromwell with a different gun. Cool. Cool. Those Centaurs are cool. I don't hate those. I like this picture better, though. I like these Centaurs. These Centaurs are better. No White Claw penetration tests. All right, that's fine. That's fine. What about high noon penetration tests? Can we do that? No? All right. All right, that's fair. What about Harry Potter Centaurs? Yeah, I don't... Harry Potter, fictional. They look so good. Look at them all in a row. I'll take the one on the end. She's perfect. Wait. There's more. Oh, those aren't Centaurs. They're Atlases. See, the nacelle is the dead giveaway. No penetration test, EJ. This isn't that type of stream. Are you sure? Oh my goodness. That Google image search, the that's a lot of stuff. Why does Atlas Centaur just work? Because Convair, dude. Convair made the Atlas back in the day, and the Centaur. Yeah, Convair. They made the B-58, obviously. Like, duh. You're having a crisis. Dude, do you see this factory? Fluffy, you cannot look at me. You cannot look at me in the face and say that you wouldn't want to walk this floor. Dude, that's awesome. Dude, look, fellas, look. History don't repeat, but it rhymes. All the engineering desks. All the engineering, all the work is done right next to the vehicle. That's a goddamn rotary phone. That is a rotary phone next to an Atlas. Look at that. Does that look like it belongs next to that? Oh man, that's cool. The old file cabinets. Blackbird, you know, while we're on the subject here, I will get back to space news. I really... Okay, maybe it's just because I've watched Mad Men. I've watched like too much Mad Men over time. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I need my office to look like this. Yeah. I need my office to look like this. I love the 1960s office building aesthetic. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. It's very weird, but I love that. That chair is probably super comfy and probably could survive a nuclear blast because it's lined with asbestos or something ridiculous. You know, like, just look at it. Crappy drop ceiling. I love it. I love it. Mahogany furniture. Just look at the aesthetic. The aesthetic is ace. It's so good. Yeah, ciggy smoking. Yeah, no, we need cigarette smoke smell and we need coffee smell. That is how it needs to be. Like that, if I renovate this office, that's what I want it to look like. I want to have like a, you know, I'll have the streaming desk, right? But then I'll have my office. You know what I'm saying? And it will smell of rich mahogany. Hang on. Just. Ew, walnut's better. Whatever. Particularly with like models of all the rockets like that. That's pretty cool. I mean, we could do that with the 3D printer. That's no big deal. No Titans, though. Yeah. Von Braun hated the Titan rocket. He thought it was a piece of junk. Now, to be 100% fair, Titan rockets are pretty good. I don't mind Titan rockets. They're pretty nice. If I had to choose between a Titan 3C and a Saturn 1B, I'm taking the Saturn 1B. Yeah, that's not even a judgment call. That's why Von Braun didn't like Titans. He hated those things. I didn't see you playing with your model rockets again. Good! The Saturn 1B is simpler. You can, yeah, I mean... Yeah, dude, Saturn 1B is great. I love how Office one of the rocket models basically has to have the ceiling modification. Yeah, the Saturn V goes through the ceiling. Yep. You are more 80s sci-fi style of room. Yeah, whatever. Plumbing wasn't all that simple, but it was made out of spare parts. And you could have refactored that first stage into a Saturn II. No problem. Saturn II. Even using the H1 engines, you could have simplified the design because you have the S4B production line. Just take an S4B, extend the S4B, and make a 9-engine thrust structure. It's basically Falcon 9. it's basically what that is. Where have I heard this one before? It's basically Falcon 9. Like, anyway. So, yeah, New Glenn is fully, I would say stacked, but it's fully integrated here. Or just simplify it to do a single SRB. You know, that's a good idea, fellas. You know, the diameter of a Saturn 1B is 260 inches. So we will make a 260 inch solid rocket motor. And you know what? Just because, let's, you know, casings. Space Shuttle had a problem with segmented SRBs back in the day. So maybe we should just make it a single. Make it a single case. You know, while we're here. Actually, to be honest, single casing AJ260 Saturn 1B first stage, you could parachute that down. Oh yeah, you could reuse that. You could reuse the casing. Sure, why not? You could have it land the same way that the shuttle SRBs land, with the engine section facing towards the water. And when the SRB hits the water, water rushes up in there and compresses the air inside of the SRB's combustion chamber, and the whole thing turns into a hydropneumatic shock absorber and cushions the landing. That's why SRBs can be recovered with parachutes and liquid fuel boosters cannot. Now, Super Heavy, when it splashed down, tried to do that, and what happened is the inner ring of 13 engines found themselves migrating upstream into the methane tank. That's why when they pulled Super Heavy out of the water, it was just the outer ring of 20 engines. The more you know. Bing, bong, bong. Mixed. Bloody hell, as fun as the stream is, it's almost 1 a.m. You got to go to bed. Sorry. And pull it with a 59 Ford. That's a good idea. Mix, I'll get... Hey! There's the sub right there. Thanks, man. Okay, so I'll get through, let me get through a couple more things. So Stoke was testing something last night. They were testing one of their tanks at their test site. And it tank ended. Yeah, it exploded. Can you read last? Sure, Outdoorsman. Is it possible to... What are you saying? Is it possible to renovate the original Mission Control Center for Artemis 3 and then have the imagery created from Apollo 11 but with modern day stuff? Maybe have some of the guys from Apollo sit next to the controllers? They'll probably do that last part. The first part, no. So, you know, at face value, that doesn't look good. Andy Lapsa, the CEO of the company, said here that this was a planned test to structural limit as part of our structural qualification program. In addition to the multiple prior test objectives, this was the purpose of the tiny tank. Hey, RJ. Yeah. As if Stoke would blow something up. They ain't gonna blow something up. There's freaking Stoke, man. Does Andy Lapsa look like it? Look at this man. Does that man look like he does not know how to work on rockets? No. Stoke is the real deal, dude. Do you guys mind if I just, you know, as a treat? Anyway, Stoke is like has like a 7-person design team, and they designed a full flow stage combustion cycle engine with like 7 people. Oh, forgive me, designed and built. Stoke's the real deal, man. You know, they haven't launched anything yet, but they're the real deal. The Andromeda engine is pretty good. I remember when full flow stage combustion cycle engines were impossible. Yep. Fairly quiet for an engine. Yeah. Super agile, like SpaceX. Correct. Andy Labsa was also, to that guy's credit, he's also was like the chief designer on the BE4 engine for Blorgen. You know, those engines that we saw being integrated in the first rocket here, those things, the 7 ones that are down there. Yeah, he designed that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so don't sleep on Stoke. They're pretty awesome. And also, their launch pad down at the Cape at Launch Complex 14 is pretty much ready to go. Here's them doing deluge tests. I did show this yesterday, but I just figure I'd mention it matter-of-factly. Man, this thing came together quick. When do you think Pad B will be completed? Interested in your opinion. What? This pad? Right here? This pad? Right here? About 90% of Stoke people are ex-SpaceX or Relativity. Well, here's a picture from RGV, guys, and I will tell you, Jack Beyer, my buddy over at NSF, once told me that the less scaffolding you see, the more likely it is to be completed. And I'm telling you, boys and girls, I don't see much scaffolding left. If anything, I see scaffolding being taken down and inventoried before they have to move it. There is a minimal amount of that stuff sitting around. Oh yeah, this is that pad. Yeah, you're right. This is that pad, not this pad. This pad is decommissioned. They started taking it apart. So, Chaz, when do I think? Once again, these pictures are from my buddies over at RGB. We're in the home stretch, dude. I'd say this thing is probably like 80 to 85% completed. Probably a little more. Yeah, we're almost done here. It's definitely going to be finished by the end of the year. Definitely. I don't know exactly when that might be, though. I mean, the pad is still missing a couple of components. We still don't have the ship quick disconnect installed on this tower, as far as I can tell. The SQD isn't there. So it seems like they're very much waiting for the pedestal to be completed. Now, if you had to ask why save the SQD, the ship quick disconnect arm? Why save that for last? Okay, this is a guess. This is a guess from your boy. Probably wrong. Finish this first. That way you can fire boosters. You can static fire Block 3 boosters. When was this pad rolled out? Construction began on this pad in April of 2024. I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're looking to get this thing operable so they can start Block 3 booster testing. Because, think about it. At Massey's, you can cryo ships and you can static fire ships. You can cryo boosters, but where do you static fire boosters? Right there. See what I'm saying? I'll bet you they moved the ship quick disconnect arm install to the end of pad construction if I had to put my money on it. Pads are the long lead items. Propulsion is your long lead item, guys. Raptor engines have been worked on and iterated since 2016. The pads were, this was a sandbar in 2016. It was a parking lot last year. They lifted that corner piece, this corner piece in today. Cool. Isn't the ship quick disconnect basically ready to roll and be installed? I don't know. Is somebody know? Is the SQD ready to go at Sanchez? Am I wrong to think that pad 2 will be ready by the end of the November? No, Goose. I do not think you're wrong at all. I think you're right. Guys, I'm telling you. Like, this is not based off, like, guys, when I make predictions like this, when I say, like, I think this, or in my opinion, they're going to do this, this is not something that, like, SpaceX employees tell me. In fact, if anybody out there in the industry knows, I have friends all over the place, dude. I have friends at Blue. I have friends at SpaceX, relative, every single one of these companies. I tell them to not tell me this stuff. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. One, because the stuff I get told, I'll probably get too excited about and tell you, and that's kind of frowned upon. No, I could probably keep my own, but I want to, I weigh in to see if my judgment is correct, to make sure that I'm understanding what's going on. I have friends everywhere. I am the eyes and ears of this institution. Do they still have the oil rigs? No, they sold them a long time ago, RJ. They sold them for scrap. Ooh, they doing stuff. Yeah, right. No, I don't want people in the industry telling me this stuff. Like, and a lot of info does get passed around, but I don't want to know. I want to guess, and I want to make sure that my guess is right, to make sure that my judgment is right. It keeps me on my toes as a STEM educator and space news journalist, I guess. The SQD is at Sanchez. Mm-hmm. I will very rarely give you tidbits of information that I got anonymously from sources. It happens from time to time, but it's very rare. Why is an earnings call from Tesla a better technical update from Elon than a real technical update at SpaceX? I don't know. Do you think it's possible to see a booster 18 static fire by the end of this year? Yes, absolutely. Now, my buddies at NSF, most people will be like, nah, that's not happening. But dude, look at the pad progress, man. That thing's almost done. The SQD has all the pipes installed, but we have yet to see the end of the SQD arm. Although, because of its size, it could be in a tent or ground fab building at Sanchez. Yep. Stoke, Space, or Relativity? Who is launching first? Stoke. Relativity not far behind, but Stoke. Relativity doesn't even have a first stage assembled. That and Stoke's Nova rocket is actually, like, smaller. Dude, Relativity's Terran R is a big rocket. It's not New Glenn big, but it's bigger than Falcon. It is a big vehicle. I don't know if you mentioned this yet or not, but the new V3 renders that SpaceX showed for Flight 11, this tower didn't have a ship quick disconnect. Yeah, I think that's just they didn't finish the render. Poor Ryan, yeah. Mm-hmm. Stoke quarter 2, Relativity quarter 4. Yep. Hey, little Chris. Thank you for becoming a flight controller over on the YouTube stream. Thank you. My favorite space reporter has the best unnamed sources. Yeah, right. I've had this thought for a while. Why doesn't SpaceX plan to have downrange catch towers at common trajectories, like for tanker launches? I mean, Joe, I think that is a more late game. That's more late game functionality, dude. Like, don't put a downrange catch tower down to improve mission trajectory.
Discovery, go at throttle.
If you can't get like one catch tower being worked, reusable. Like, literally, just I don't like. Give it some time. I am sure in the future you will see Starship ferry flights between Texas and the Cape. If they need to. I'm positive that would happen. Either that or just move it on the barge. Hey, Dragon, 64 months. Just got back from my second stint in French Guyana. Leak checking and fueling a spacecraft. Glad to be back. That's cool, man. Neat. See what I mean, fellas? How many tankers are needed to refuel a depot? 16? Rocket Lab Neutron. When is Neutron, in my opinion? Q2 next year. Neutron's almost done. I would really like to see more first stage testing from Rocket Lab, but imagine us thinking that Starship doesn't have enough performance in its standard flight profile before it becomes fully operational. Exactly. Hey, Ramalot! Welcome to Mission Control. Your go at throttle up. Thank you. They've talked about a tower in Oz. Yeah, Joe, I think down the road, I mean, especially if they want to do point-to-point stuff, that's going to be a thing. You know, if SpaceX has their way, there'd be towers everywhere. What direction would a rover need? Would a tower need to face for a Texas catch? East. Starship has to do its flip and burn, dude, so the thermal protection system has to be facing away from the tower. You could... 39A could catch it. 39A or the two towers at 37 could do it too whenever those get made. One thing to note about Pad B is that they are at the beginning of closeout process with the main water manifold and quick disconnect hoods. Also, look at the scaffolding in the trench. Guys, this is almost done. They got to put a couple of panels on here, close out up here, put the panels on there, put the BQD hoods on there, and then get all the scaffolding out, and then this thing's good to go. I'm telling you. I still think Flight 12 is going to be in January. I really do. I'm saying that based off of what I see here. Do we have a date for this photo? This was last week, I think, Noah. Do we have any idea what Flight 12 will look like? My guess is that Flight 12 is an exact copy of Flight 11 and Flight 10, but with a Block 3 booster. That would be the next iterative step, in my opinion. Dude, she's almost done, man. This thing's almost finished. Bets on purposeful missing tile count. I would do an analog test if it was me, O-Force. I would want a full thermal protection system on 3. I wouldn't be doing any TPS experiments there. Australia probably makes the most sense for point-to-point, in my honest opinion. The literal opposite side of the world gives you the highest benefit in shortened trip times. Yeah, for a Starship, I mean, Aqualix, we've talked about, like, you know, different forms of transportation systems when we're playing cities, right? You know, like trains are good for medium distances. Cars are good for short distances. Bicycles are good for short distances. Walking is probably the good for the shortest distances, right? Airplanes are really good for long distances. Starship, if we're talking point to point, good for really long distances. I'm talking about something that's more than 6,000 miles away. Like, this would be good from like Los Angeles to Sydney, or like New York to Tokyo, something like that. You wouldn't want a Starship hop that goes to California from like New York to Los Angeles. That doesn't make any sense. Those 24+ hour flight. Yeah, exactly. So like London to Tokyo or something, or, you know, like Madrid to Shanghai or something crazy. That's what Starship point to point is good for. Personally, I want Ship 39 to have a fully perfect heat shield. I think that's what they're going to do next. Rarest, I do believe that the reason why they did all those heat shield experiments with Block 2 was to get enough information, to get enough info on how you... Stop that. To get enough info on, you know, theoretical tile failure modes and thermal analysis on tiles. think as we start block 3, I think you're going to see less and less, if not any, TPS experiments. I really don't think they want to do any more of those. Violet, I had a thought last night. If you are close to a black hole like in Interstellar, your time goes slower. But is the reverse true as well? If you're not near any big gravity well, could it be possible that 7 years pass for 1 hour on Earth? You'd have to be far away, but yes. Time dilation is absolutely a thing. Global positioning satellites take time dilation into account. Kind of random, but do you think they will do the paint scheme on the booster like we've seen in the renders? Paint scheme on the booster? Guys. Enough. Enough with the combos on Twitch, damn it. All right, I'm shutting them off. Give me 1 second. I'll be back in just a second, guys. I'm just shutting a bunch of stuff off that I haven't, been meaning to shut off for a little bit. Give me 1 sec. I will be right back. Here, listen to some music. Okay, I did a couple of changes. I shut off combos and I shut off channel points because I hate both of them. Sorry for the inconvenience. So let's get back into space news, shall we? This booster livery. All right, let me see. We talking about this thing right here? All right. Sorry, that combo thing just blinking in my head all day, like blinking in my head, like blunk, 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 blunk. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's so goddamn annoying and distracting. No. Anyway, so you're talking about like this paint scheme up here, guys? I think that might be thermal protection system, to be honest with you. There's a new one. This is an older render. I'm sorry. I can't do it, dudes. You sent me the new one. Okay. I think so. You're talking about your render here. Yeah, I would say that this is probably some type of thermal protection system paint. It's probably header paint, knowing SpaceX. Painted on thermal protection system. Wouldn't be the first time. I mean, they did something similar with Falcon, man. Dude, seriously though, look at that thing. Oh, I'm getting to it, Creeper. Don't worry. So Zach actually posted this. This is off of Lab Padre, guys, and we saw it on a Starbase Live yesterday. They've started demolishing the berm at this pad. It didn't take SpaceX very long. You know what the crazy thing is, dude? That concrete was cast like, it's like less than a year old, maybe 5 months ago. Like, when did they make this berm, dude? It's definitely because they like redid it, guys. The berm has been there since 2023. Bermint. But that concrete they recast it a little while back. No more skate park. I did wonder for a while if they'd keep Pad 1 up for a little bit to use as a V3 ship testing stand. Theoretically, all they'd really have to do is change the temp quick disconnected ship adapter. Yeah, Raymond, my guess is that they want the tower for ship catching. That's just a guess though. Mint. I wish Peg would post more. That guy's the man. They're also preparing to shorten the chopsticks. That's right. That's right, they are. Actually, you know what? There is an RGV. I do believe there's an RGV picture. Yes. Yes. Here it is. So here's a picture of Pad 1. Here's what it looks like after 10 flights. Dude, there... Really? Huh. Holy crap, dude. Yo, look. The pad avoidance maneuver. So Starship, when it takes off, it pitches a little bit and does a pad avoidance maneuver. And in that split second, it very much looks like the rim of this pad gets blasted with the full force of a super heavy booster at liftoff. Dude, look, it ablated the steel. That's what ablated steel looks like. Holy crap. That's why the quick disconnects are on the opposite side of Pad B. Aha! Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, dude. Wow. Dude, look, it ablated down to the hold down. See, it's all rusty. White spots are shielded by the water. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Do you think that low Earth orbit only starships will have docking stuff on them? I don't see why not. So also the chopsticks. Guys, look. So somebody went up here and made marks. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. See those? These marks here? That's their cutting marks. They're gonna lop the arms off. The chopsticks are going to go to basically right where these shuttles are, right here. They're gonna lop the ends off. We will no longer have long sticks. No longer long sticks. Is this what the kids these days call cooked? This pad is cooked, yes. Further proof that SpaceX doesn't wait around. Yeah. You know, we should have SpaceX compete with other companies to see how fast it takes to you know, to see how fast it takes to make a launch pad. We should see how long that takes. It'd be a shame if it took longer periods of time. I would just like to remind everybody that a year ago at this time, that pad, so pad 2, was basically a parking lot. Yeah. In fact, if you check this out, you guys want to see something interesting? Look at this. If we go on Goggle Earth here, what is an Ultra Boom? It's a man basket lift thing. So check this out. This imagery says it's from April 11th, 2024. In April of 2024, it wasn't even a parking lot. Suborbital Pad B was still there. That's in 18 months, they built a launch pad for the most complicated launch vehicle ever devised. Oh, they're building 2 of them. Actually, 4 of them, by the way. And that's the berm right there that the excavators were getting rid of. Unfortunately. Yep. That right there, guys, this is where pad 2 is. Right here. The tower is basically right where my mouse cursor is. And the trench is right here. This is April 2024. Nothing there. Actually, where's that other picture? That's what's there now. That still has the old vertical tanks, that's right. 5. Well, pad 1 was already made. Pad 1 went up in 2022. Tower B is the same size. What's first? SLS Block 2 launch tower starts assembly? Or SpaceX finishes all their pads at Starbase 39A and 37? SLS Block 2, the one that Bechtel is making, can accept Block 2s. Yeah, it can do that. So, Mobile Launcher 2 is going to get done pretty quickly. No, the Airborne Pad 2, that pad, that one right there, is a complete refactoring of Starship Super Heavy. Guys, like, Block 3 might as well be a new rocket. We're talking about, like, changes so radical, it's the difference between, like, a Saturn 1 and a Saturn 1B. Saturn 1 and Saturn 1B look very similar. They are not the same rocket. They use similar engine sections, but they're not the same thing. That's a Saturn 1. That's the Saturn 1. That's the Saturn S4. Saturn 1 second stage with 6 RL-10s. That ain't no Saturn 1B, dude. Saturn 1B is a very different vehicle. When's the overhaul for Pad 1?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I don't know. There's the Saturn 1B. Oh, yeah. Underrated launch vehicle, in my opinion. See all the differences, dude? Different wings, the engine section's way more refined. And you have an S4 up at the top with a single J2 engine instead of 6 RL10s. Hey, I've been there. Does 39A get its catch tower before 37A gets its launch towers? Comus, the catch tower is already installed at 39A, dudes. Dude, like, 39A is... We don't see 39A all the time because we don't have a camera like... We don't have cameras on it like NSF has cameras on Boca Chica. We don't have that. Guys, so that's the other pad. So pad A is this pad. Pad 2 is that pad. Those are the two pads at Boca Chica. This pad and that pad. And the one at 39A is the other pad. So this pad, that pad, and the other pad. Everybody got that? Cool. With all that being said, I wouldn't say that the other pad at 39A is, I wouldn't say that the other pad at 39A is, how can I say this? It's not the level of completion that pad is at Boca, but here, take a look. This picture's from Harry Stranger. This is from October 14th, so this was just last week. Fellas. The chopsticks are already there. They've been there. You can see their shadow. The damn picture. The trench is almost done. And if you guys squint, you can see that they are starting to... they're going to... So over here, they're going to start... Those are pieces for the Liebherr 13,000. When they go to install the launch mount here... see that big square piece right there? When they go to install it, they're going to do it with one crane. Does that make 37 another pad? Yeah, that's the two other pads. So 37A would be that one other pad, and 37B would be the two other pad. Yeah, one crane is going to pick that damn thing up and put it on there, which is going to be amazing. Goalie, it's a 2.8 million pound lift. I believe that. Then what would a second pad at 39A be called? The other pad. The other white meat. Bebe, it's what's for dinner. Did you ever figure out how to build a crane in Kerbal? Yeah. Starship has to be some kind of construction time record. Yeah. It's definitely crazy. Engineer, I always found the concept of lost technology difficult in sci-fi. The idea that entire swaths of knowledge lost to the ages seemed to be a reach. Watching what's going on with NASA, you now understand. Let's see. Let's wait and see what happens, dude. I heard grumbling the other day of a second pad just south of the tower now. So a second pad would be right here. South is this is a compass here. The crawler way goes north-south exactly. So another pad right here with another flame trench. That would be pretty cool. Do you think the first Starship catch will be successful? Celeb, after what I saw with Flight 11, yeah. Yeah, I have no doubts. Starships using Kerbal constructs. Yeah. $39B? $39B is SLS's pad. Celeb, I think the first ship catch will be successful. Absolutely. But yeah, fellas, I just want to point out how nuts this actually is that they're like, look, dude, that thing is. So pad 2 at Boca, that pad is almost done. This is going to be ready in 6 months. Probably less. Actually, I'd say 6 months would be fair. That means 39A is operational by summer of next year. That's not that far away, dude. That is tomorrow in aerospace industry terms. They have a long-term lease on 39A. So. It's crazy how big 39A area looks thinking how big Starship is. Yep. I will say the GSC, the ground servicing equipment will be done by the end of December. This pad is going insanely quick. The one at 39 is going up insanely fast. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And then yeah, they're gonna chop the chopsticks. Ironically, they're gonna lop off these last 2 segments here. I love it, man. Dude, I would be not in a good place if SpaceX didn't exist right now. I would be not in a good place, dude. Serious question. Is it possible to lose that lease on 39A? Unlikely. It's possible, sure, of course. But it's unlikely. Are you going to watch it physically or live stream from your desk? Which one? How do we get a Starship over there? SpaceX bought more transport ships. SpaceX is now fielding a small navy. They bought more ships to transport the vehicles. The whole U.S. space industry wouldn't be a good place if it wasn't for SpaceX. Yep. 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 Dude, the pad avoidance maneuver. Holy crap, dude. You guys, so, all right, look. It's popping the freaking, their welds out. These are plug welds to weld these top plates in. It popped the plug welds out of the steel plating. That's got to be like 2-inch thick steel. So that's 50 millimeter, 60 millimeter thick steel, and it's punching it's super heavy. Hits that thing with so much force it punched it out. That's crazy, dude. The ship catch. Oh, whenever they go to do a ship catch, Celeb, I will be there. Oh, hang on. I got a message. Hi, Max. So, yeah, guys, Starship's going to happen sooner rather than later. They should sell sections of that plate. That would be pretty cool. Sorry if you talked about it before. What's up, J Shelf? How you doing? I've been gone for a few days, but is there any word on when the next Starship launch will be? I say January. Everybody says I'm nuts. I say January. I know that guy, Phil. Reagan used to watch the stream a lot. Both can be true. But yeah, you're right. Any update? Any update on where Marmac 308 is since it was launched? No, I haven't heard anything. I haven't looked, to be fair. Can we all agree to nuke YouTube HQ for making the site worse again? Dickhead. Oh, shoot. All right. We got another message. It wasn't important. Also, hi, Max. Anyway, let's see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. You guys, NASA released a, what is this? What are we calling this here? Hold on. You guys will like this. They some really large tugs, okay? Is January the quickest turnaround time compared to previous attempts? It's actually right in lines with previous, with flight rate. Anyway. So, the Orion spacecraft's heat shield, guys. It has, after the Artemis 1 mission, NASA figured out that the heat shield on Orion, which is using what's called a blocked Avcoat heat shield, was charring due to pressure permeation between the blocks. So, here. So, if we look at a picture of a heat shield, now keep in mind this is a heat shield. This is the heat shield for Perseverance, if I'm looking at this right. If you look at this heat shield, heat shields that are made out of Avcoat construction are made in blocks. If you see that, you could see they're blocks and they fit them together like a puzzle, right? Hey, Light Brew, 2-month resub. Thanks, man. Phenomenal with 100 blorps. Blorp? So,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
NASA basically figured out after the EFT-1 flight in 2014 that it would be cheaper and it would be easier to manufacture Orion's heat shield like this instead of manufacturing it like the Apollo spacecraft's heat shield, which is not blocked Avcoat. It's Apollo's heat shield uses something called honeycomb Avcoat injection. Which is basically a honeycomb fiberglass lattice across the entire shape of the heat shield. And then each individual honeycomb, which is about maybe a ½ inch or about 13 millimeters wide, was manually injected with Avcoat. Now, Orion's heat shield had charring. The reason why it had charring was because these little cracks in between the blocks, the heat shield was deforming in a way where pressure got in between the cracks and actually got... And actually got the blocks actually came off. They charred off. Hey, Automat Tech, 7-month resub. Thank you. Hi, Space Pope. How are you? Hey, Ewok. So NASA released their findings report on the efforts to understand and respond to Artemis 1's heat shield charring loss. So why release this and waste everybody's time? I'm not entirely sure if NASA understands how much of a joke they look like right now. I'm not even entirely sure they get it. I just don't like what. Just don't release. Just stop wasting our time and don't release it. If you don't want this information out there, why even release a report about it? Because now people know that that's information that you don't want to get out, so now they're going to go looking for it. Do these morons understand what the internet does? The second you say you can't look at this on the internet, people on the internet are going to do the opposite of that. How freaking dense can you be? Not as dense as the heat shield, that's for sure. Case in point, War Thunder forums. Yeah, there you go. Prime example, dudes. Like, don't push that button, EJ. It's big and red and you can't touch it. Oh. Reminds me about a video they released to be transparent and then people figure it out it was edited. Like, why even go? Why even waste the time to have somebody go through this and redact every goddamn thing? Why did the president float the idea of doing away with that with NASA? It's not his idea, Blanco. It's Sean Duffy's idea. Sean Duffy is the Secretary of Transportation, and he was made the interim acting administrator of NASA in lieu of Jared Isaacman's nomination being pulled earlier this year. It's not the president, dude. It's Sean Duffy's trying to do this. Now, why he's trying to do it, I don't know. I don't really understand why you would do this. I'm sure there's an end goal, and I'm sure we'll never hear about it because, you know, the government's super transparent, like that heat shield report. It's pretty clear from your perspective. Your perspective isn't Sean's perspective, Aqualux. I'm trying to be somewhat objective here, okay? I have my own ideas about what it is, and I'll bet you it's not that far off from yours, but I don't think it's right to jump the gun. I've already demonstrated a la Monday's Space News that I'm not too incredibly happy with this idea. You know? Yeah, I saw it, dude. I didn't get a chance to read it last night because I stayed up till like 2 playing Battlefield. Sorry, man. Sorry. EJ, explain this to me. After the HLS lunar vehicle comes back to Earth and undocks from Orion, what happens after the ship because it can't re-enter? I don't think the lander's coming back to Earth. I think the lander's going to stay in lunar orbit and then be disposed of from there, Celeb. And Orion is what comes back. Yeah, HLS stays there. We doing that again tonight? Maybe. After Summer Car. Maybe. I said we're going to play Summer Car, dude. It's time to do the rally. It's Saturday in game. We're going to do the rally again. And I'm going to try to not bin the car this time. Wait a minute. I just thought of something. Fellas, I'm running off 4 hours of sleep because I was about to say, you know what? Never mind. I was about to say I'm running off of 4 hours of sleep, which is not a good idea. Have me get a good night's sleep tonight and we'll play Battlefield for after hours. Then we'll play Summer Car tomorrow night. But that's not going to work now, is it? That's not going to work. If we play Battlefield tonight, I'm just going to stay up again. Sure it will. But I don't want to race the rally race if I'm tired, man. I can't even think straight today. You guys have no idea how hard I'm trying to make this Space News relatively coherent. I'm like really exerting myself right now. Don't you fudge up this save. Yeah. I have 3 hours of sleep. You can borrow mine, dude. Please. Just one Battlefield as a treat. I don't know. I'll think about it. Just win early so you can go to bed. Easy peasy. Oh, dear. I'm not here for coherency. I'm here for entertainment. Y'all got any more of that Battlefield? Y'all got any more of that escalation? I love that. Just one more turn. Just one more turn. Escalation is fantastic, yep. It's rally day, Dan. What's all this coherent talk? Does NASA have plans to rescue astronauts if something goes wrong with Orion? I don't know. My friends group does Let's Play Till We Lose. Fun thought. Technically, you count as edutainment. Yep. Just sleep in tomorrow for more sleep. I gotta get up, dude. I gotta get up in the morning. One, because Titan decides that for me. I don't really have much say in the matter. Now I'm really thinking. Dying in Summer Car is really, really bad. That would really suck. Dying in Battlefield is not that big of a deal, so I might. Would you guys mind if we did Summer Car tomorrow? I don't think that's the worst idea. I mean, ideally, I don't want to die in either one of those. You know what I mean? You could just go to bed early. What? No. No, you have to do it today. Die in Summer Car? I don't want to die in Summer Car today, Alex. Jesus. Just don't stay up until 2 a.m. again. I don't think that's going to happen. What if BF6 had permadeath? Once upon a time, first-person shooters did have permadeath. It's called elimination rounds, like in Counter-Strike. Where are we on gateway designs? Who cares? Gateway's a steaming pile of crap. That's an option? You can do that? You can go to bed early? All right, no. We'll stick to the plan. We'll play Summer Car, and we'll do the rally race. No, Flykin, it's first come, first serve whenever I decide to play. That's the only way to keep it fair. Yeah, we'll do Summer Car. Did you know that real life has permadeath too? Man, it would be... personally, MK Note, I think it would be a much better game if you had at least, like, 2 to 3 deaths. Like, think like Mario or something. I definitely use a life standing under super heavy. I wouldn't, man. Do we even have a rocket that can get Gateway to rectilinear halo orbit? Falcon Heavy. Falcon Heavy is what's going to deliver it. Gateway was supposed to be sent out there in multiple components on an SLS Block 1B, which would have given justification to launching a lot more SLSs, but we decided we wanted to save money instead. Basically boning the SLS's production chain. Oh, actually, fellas, I did a little bit of research between Kerbal and Space News. In Kerbal, we were actually talking about, like, how much would it really cost if we'd just done Constellation? They got rid of Constellation because they said it'd be too expensive and not innovative enough, which is... I didn't realize that nuclear-powered transfer vehicles to Mars were not innovative enough, I guess. Would have fooled me. Anyway, we actually did some calculations on the Kerbal stream. You guys will like this. We did some calculations on the Kerbal stream this morning, or this afternoon, before Space News. And off the Wikipedia article, it says that basically by 2009, they figured that the Constellation program would basically cost about $150 billion from 2009 all the way to basically 2029. So about 20 years. We did some math out. $250 billion. Or no, they said $150 billion. $150 billion over 20 years gives an annual budget of about $7.5 billion. Right? Give or take. It's about $7 billion a year. Now, I was sitting on the can when I was on break, thinking about this for a second. $7.5 billion has basically been NASA's Human Exploration Operations Mission Directorate budget since Constellation was canceled. Like, here. Hold on. Artemis program total spending. Total projected costs for NASA's Artemis program through FY 2025 is $93 billion. This figure includes funding for the SLS Orion, as well as plans for future lunar exploration and eventual crewed missions to Mars. While this $93 billion figure represents the estimated total spending from 2012 to 2025, some analysis has highlighted ongoing cost overruns of the So, let's do some quick math out. It's 2025. Spending about $7 billion over the next 4 years. That's 28. That puts you at roughly $120 billion in change by 2029. Guys, I'm having a little bit of a breakthrough here. Does this mean that the SLS program has had Constellation's budget more or less for the past 14 frigging years and done precisely dick with it? Is that what that means? Remember to factor in inflation. If you factor in inflation, it's right around, it's right around $150 billion. That's weird. So that means that the Artemis program, for doing a lot less, somehow has spent as much as Constellation's projected costs in a basically a worst case scenario. And for the record, why is Orion service module so crap? Because it doesn't need to go any further than the gateway in the lunar architecture. The reason why they did that is because the capsule inherently doesn't need a lot of delta V if you're looking at using Orion for Mars transfer vehicle architecture. The problem with that is that we don't have any of that. We have Gateway, which is a prototype transfer vehicle that's years behind schedule. It's a pretty stunning realization when you think about it. And that shows, I can see why people like Eric Berger are really, really dislike the Artemis program, or particularly SLS and Orion. Because the implication here is that, SLS would, I've always kind of just thought in my mind, I never bothered to go and look at these numbers. I was just kind of thought in my mind that, obviously the SLS program, Constellation was too expensive. So obviously the SLS program is not going to do as much. I know the costs have overrun, but it's never going to get near, obviously the implication here is that it would never be as expensive as the Constellation program because it doesn't do as much, which is just not true. That's some real black pill stuff right there. So where's all this freaking money been going, dude? And that goes to show, if we just followed through with Constellation, it wouldn't have been as behind schedule and over budget as everybody thinks it would have been. Even if Constellation suffered the similar delays as SLS, we'd at least be on the moon by now. Into pockets. See, that just goes to show you that if you do, guys, so what's the difference then? What's the difference between SLS and Constellation? The plan. Got to have a good plan. Good plan comes from the executive branch setting a national priority and challenging the space program to do bold things. That's the difference. The money has always been there. We've never had a plan. Artemis program ain't no plan. That's no plan. That's not good. That'll get you maybe near the moon sometime soon. Maybe. You need a good plan and good execution. Yeah. Huzzah, believe it or not, I don't think execution is the problem. If you look at the Artemis 1 mission, SLS worked perfectly. Like about as good as you could work on a first flight. Worked perfectly. Now, you can say whatever you want about Boeing. That core stage worked exactly as intended. And I mean exactly. 99.9% insertion accuracy from the Artemis 1 core stage. 99.9. That's real good for a test flight, dude. I don't think execution is the problem here, man. The plan is the problem. It's always been the problem. We just need a better plan. Russians don't take a dump without a plan. And one thing you're going to need a stupid rope for is JPL getting cuts with the current budget. I don't know, Seismic, off the top of my head, but it doesn't look good. Now here's a question. How long should it have taken to actually deal with the heat shield and life support issues? Not running a hardware-rich program made SLS... Not running hardware-rich made SLS in Orion insanely expensive. If we had just kept going with Ares 1, Hellfish, they would have figured out these heat shield problems 10 years ago. I just can't believe that SLS is... The SLS program, it's not exactly where NASA projected the cost for Constellation would be, but it's almost there, which means they've had Constellation's budget, but launched once. Twice if you include EFT. Guys, is it bad? Okay, I'm going to put this one out into the void. If you guys don't like it, you send it right back. This is just me brainstorming. I don't actually believe this. Just bear with me here. Do you think that that's the reason why Sean Duffy is doing what he's doing? Because the whole system is just rotten from the ground up? That rolling it into the Department of Transportation is a fresh start? Do you think that's what he's doing? Do you think it's possible? Do you think if you expend a Falcon Heavy instead, SLS or Dragon instead of Orion plus Starship, does it make it to the moon? You could, Amadeo, yeah. Nah, Duffy is the rot. Good point. Nah, he's not that smart. DOT makes no sense for any of NASA's missions. Yep. Yep. YouTube, what do you guys think? No. No. Possibly yes, likely no. Love for that to be true. I'm just entertaining ideas, guys. Because right now, every sign is pointing towards him being a moron. However, what if he's not? This is how I think. This is how I entertain myself when I go to sleep. Or don't, because I didn't sleep last night. You know, if I see something and I'm like, if it's like, you know, if it smells like poop, and looks like poop, and feels like poop, it's probably poop. But scientific brain, what if it isn't? Okay, let's prove that it isn't, or is, to be absolutely sure, you know? I love trying to find ways to carry water for the spots. Yeah. Well, hey, consider it EJ's due process. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to be absolutely sure. Because people listen to what I have to say, you know? And about space. And I don't carry that torch, you know, like, I don't take that lightly. You know what I mean? I think it's a possibility because of the leadership ladder changes that would likely occur. Yeah. What are his qualifications to lead? That will help with your answer. Well, he doesn't have any. He's a lawyer by trade. Yeah. Thoughts on China's Falcon 9 stainless steel type booster? He can climb trees. This NASA administrator timeline is about as good as the timeline of Saw movies, getting worse in each iteration. Command Racer, 14-month resub. Yeah, Sean Duffy was on The Real World in the 90s. It was a reality TV show on music television. That was right around the time where MTV or music television decided they wanted to do nothing that they wanted to run a TV channel that has nothing to do with their name. Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that so fellas, you guys are just saying he's an idiot, and that's fair. I was just thinking about it, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't think Sean Duffy knows enough about the space program to really know if that's a good decision or not. Like I said, the track record speaks for itself. Everything I've seen him say about the space program, it demonstrates a superfluous, like I'm not going to say a kindergarten level of understanding for NASA, but basically a kindergarten level of understanding for NASA. Yeah, I don't think you really know what's going on here. That sounds like the History Channel now. Yeah. Duffy was the world champion speed climber at the 1994 Lumberjack World Championship. I guess I knew that, huh? I guess I knew that. It's still kind of funny. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. I don't think yeah.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway. Um Hey Jack, 120-month resub. 10 years, a full decade of EJ. So much has happened over these years. Here's to the next 10. Yeah. Yeah, Hellfish for sure. Do you think there should be guidelines for who can be NASA administrator, aka from an engineering and science background? No. I've been suggesting over the past couple of days that, the NASA administrator would be a good cabinet position. But honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, like there's no stopping somebody. You could put a janitor, you could make a janitor NASA administrator. That'd be good. I think honestly, the way the NASA administrator is done right now with the Senate confirmation is probably the right move. The more I think about it. The only way a complete outsider like Duffy could make major moves like this is for NASA to be completely fragmented with infighting for different programs, directorates, and that is the real rot in NASA. Correct. Hey, Zassengoose. Thanks for becoming a flight controller. Everything he said is basically he looked at a 5-minute infographic of the history of NASA and boom, he's qualified. That's the vibe that I'm getting, Ari. Yep. If you had to nominate an online space personality to be NASA administrator, who would you nominate? Das. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Das is pretty damn good at running things. Yeah, Das would be my guy. Like, if I couldn't choose myself, I'd throw my hat into the ring. I'd probably fail. I don't think he would, though. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Sean Doofus. Can we... Yeah, let's just call him that. Bring me on stream and let's snort milk. I think Space News is done. Yeah, I think Space News is done. Yeah, Brandon, I hear you. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Space and Rocket review. Sorry, I didn't mean to do any Rule 8 stuff. I was just kind of brainstorming at the end there. I like throwing monkey wrenches in my ideas. Like, if I conclusively believe something, I will try to disprove it to myself because science brain. That's just... I don't know. It helps me kind of, we'll say, maintain my sanity. Yes, you just heard that right. Me having conversations with myself, arguing good and bad, objectively, or two sides of an argument is how I stay sane. Me talking to myself. That's, that statement did not that statement, I didn't think about that one before I said it, but I put that out there, and it makes sense when you think about it. But also, it's kind of crazy. Well, you do talk to a screen all day. That tracks. How dare you seek out the truth by yourself? Yeah. If you're not talking to yourself, like, how do you even know if you like yourself? Yeah, that's right. Like, you guys see those posts on, like, Reddit where people are like, 80% of people don't have internal monologues. Bro, I have, like, 7 internal monologues going up there. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on up there. It gets to be a little overwhelming at times. There's like, at least 7. At the very least. Crazy? I was crazy once. Yeah, right. Which is the one that Brimo actually likes? You know what? I don't like where this conversation is going, so I'm going to stop. No, seriously. Okay, jokes aside, critically think. If you believe something vehemently, try to disprove it. Try to prove that you might be wrong. Critically thinking like that is how you come to, let's talk in the applications of spaceflight here. Critically thinking like that is how you figure out the best mission architecture for what you're trying to do. And what are you trying to do is the golden thing to answer when it comes to the application of spacecraft architecture. What are you trying to do? What does this vehicle do? What is your space program supposed to do? This works. Throw monkey wrenches in your ideas. Do it. Critically think. Process information. Figure out, like, if somebody disagreed with this thought that I have that I think is really good, what would they say? You'd be surprised what conclusions you come up to. Poke holes in your own theory until you can't. That's the best theories were forged in the crucible of discourse. You know what I mean? My best ideas about the space program were the ideas I put out here, and you guys say, no, that's wrong, or no, that's right, or no, that's stupid. We've honed some of the purest space autism ideas here on this stream. The pure stuff. It's pure. It's refined. 6 kilos of cocaína, autismo pura. Pura! It's pure. It's perfect. Seriously. That's how you think, man. Critically think about things. That's what I mean by the 7 voices. You're autistic? No, it's a joke. All right. Let's get the racing rig out. Let's go. Refined space autism is certainly a description for this stream. Oh, I told you we should have stopped this conversation. Damn. Refined, pure. Meat, innovation, money. Money. All right, let's play some Summer Car. Brief pause on the YouTube video. Twitch, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a second.